So what happens when you take the Microsoft Surface laptop and you shrink it down a bit and cut the price? Well, you get the Surface Laptop Go, and there's not a lot of surprises here, but I'm going to use a word a lot in this review: delightful. You want to know why? Stay tuned. All right, so let's get right into it. The Surface Laptop Go is a budget to mid-range entry-level Surface device following the Surface Go, but it's more in the traditional laptop form. And Microsoft got a lot right here, although they did have to cut quarters to hit that $550 introductory price, but the version we're reviewing here is $700, and as you could probably figure out, that's gonna be the one you should get. Now let's get to those specifications. All right, so we're talking a 12.5-inch display. It's actually 12.45 inch with an aspect ratio of 3:2 and a 1536 by 1024 resolution for a 148 pixel per inch. Now that is one of the lowest of all the Surface devices I've ever seen. The only thing that's lower than 148 ppi is if you buy, say, a Razer Blade Pro 17-inch with a full HD display. Yeah, that's actually lower than this one. So it's not too bad, but it is pretty low. If you look at the display, yeah, you can see the pixels. If you look at it from far and just watching the web and video, it's totally fine. Now the display is also a PixelSense touch display. It does not support inking, another first here, the first Surface device that doesn't support pen, but I think we can forgive them for the form factor here. Now this display is actually very good. It gets 99% sRGB and 78% DCI-P3. Those are very good numbers for a budget entry-level laptop, and I'll be honest, this is a really good display. You just want to stare at it for hours, and it just looks really good. Punchy colors, really nice contrast. You hit around 400 nits of brightness, which is that sweet spot, and it can get really dark too. And I should mention, even though it's an entry-level type device, it does have an auto brightness sensor, which is something I didn't expect to see. Now another part of the design here is going to be those thin bezels. These are the thinnest bezels Microsoft has ever done on the Surface. Now on the Surface Pro X, it actually has thinner bezels on the sides, but not the top and bottom. So these are actually really thin, and that's good and bad. It looks really nice. The bad is you don't get a Windows Hello infrared camera on top. Instead, you just get the same 720p cameras found on the regular Surface laptop, and instead you gotta log in with a fingerprint, stick a pin in that. We'll return to that in a little bit. All right, speaking of that front-facing webcam, 720p in action, what do you think? Probably one of the best web cameras you're going to find on any laptop, at least at this price point. I actually really like it. And the audio I'm recording right now is coming from those front-facing dual microphones, which also gets the job done for anyone who spends a lot of time in Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Now let's talk about the processor a bit. So what's really neat compared to Surface Go, which ships with that new Core M3 processor, this has a Core i5 1035G1. Yeah, it's a mouthful to say. It's a 10th generation Intel Core i5. That's all you got to know. It's a really good processor. It actually will be a Surface Laptop 2 with a Core i5 or a Surface Pro 6 with a Core i5. That's really all you need to know. It's a good processor, doesn't cause any lags. It's really nice to see this, and it kind of kills the Surface Go 2. The downside here, though, is going to be the graphics. So this only has a G1 level graphics for Intel. That's the lowest you can get, and yeah, you kind of feel it a little bit. Specifically, you can play video games on here, arcade style, 2D, nothing sophisticated. But even on scrolling a web page, you'll see the graphics stutter a little bit with scrolling. It's not too bad. Obviously, the processor makes up for a lot of it, but it's not the strongest graphics performer here. But that's what you're getting for $500 to $700, so it's not too bad. Now when it comes to RAM, you get 4 or 8 gigabytes. The 4 gigabyte is going to be that $550 one. Listen, I run 4 gigabyte systems. It's fine. Windows 10 manages memory quite well, but obviously a lot of people are going to need more than that or prefer more than that. So this $700 version gets you 8 gigabytes. It is DDR4X. It's really nice RAM. It's going quite fast. The same story applies to storage. So the entry level has eMMC storage at 64 gigs. Not a ton. It's still enough for a lot of people if you're just doing web browsing, some Office, but obviously when you step up to that higher level, you can get a full SSD at 128 gigs, or you can go up to 256. That SSD is pretty good. You're talking around 2,000 megabytes per second for read and around 800 for write, which is not amazing, but it's good enough. Now when it comes to connectivity, you got Wi-Fi 6. That's actually kind of nice to have in a budget device. Of course, you also do have Bluetooth 5.0, which is really good as well. And for ports, no surprises here. Microsoft gives you a USB Type-A Gen 2, as well as a USB Type-C, which supports power delivery, as well as video out. You can charge with that if you would like. It does support fast charge up to 60 watts. Of course, you can use the included charger as well, which uses the Surface Connect. It is a 38-watt charger, I believe, or 39 watt, I should say. It's a pretty small one. Again, that supports fast charge. You can basically charge up this whole device in about an hour. All right, now looking at the design of Laptop Go, and Microsoft did a really nice job here. The outer top lid here is going to be aluminum, as well as the keyboard deck itself. The lower half of the device, though, is a polycarbonate plastic, which I have no problems with. It's soft to the touch, it feels great, it cuts down on cost and cuts down on weight, so it just looks really nice. Let's talk about these colorways too. You still have platinum if you like that, but this ice blue color here, it just looks fantastic. Just nice and muted, subtle blue. Not as bold as the cobalt that they did a couple years ago, but I think this looks really nice. Now when it comes to the keyboard, another great story here. Microsoft nailed this keyboard. I love typing on it. This keyboard is slightly larger than Surface Go's keyboard. Gives you a little bit more space. The travel is good. Everything about typing on this is really nice, but this is going to kill some of you. I'm sorry. It's not backlit, and that really hurts me. I'm up late at night, and I really enjoy a backlit keyboard. They cut that out to probably save cost. Real bummer, missed opportunity there. On the power button, though, you do get a fingerprint reader, at least in the model that's $700 or more. The fingerprint reader, though, is really nice. It's super accurate, it's very fast, and it has this little delightful LED that lights up around it whenever you need to log in. I just think that looks fantastic. It's a really good experience. I absolutely love it, and I don't even actually miss the facial recognition. Now looking at the trackpad, it's also large, bigger than this Surface Go's trackpad. It is one of the better trackpads they've actually done. Now, Microsoft always nails the trackpad. This one is exceptionally smooth and just real buttery to use. I had no issues with the accuracy. The clicking on it is great, and it looks really cool too, actually, with that contrast. Battery life is also very good. I'm talking around 7.5 hours of real-world usage. Using something like PC Mark, which does a synthetic apps test, I was getting 8 hours and 45 minutes, which is also very impressive. So that test loops through Office, browsing the web, as well as video conferencing, and takes little pauses in between, just like you were using it in real life. And yeah, battery life on this is actually pretty impressive. So Microsoft did a good job here balancing off that processor as well as that low resolution display. It actually pays off here when it comes to battery life. All right, so Surface Laptop Go. If I had to summarize my review of this device with just 2 words, it would be fun and delightful. That's something we don't say enough about Windows 10 devices, and I think for obvious reasons. But look at this thing, it's freaking adorable. And Surface Go is adorable too, but this one gets a Core i5 processor, which I really enjoy using. But I think Microsoft kind of nailed what they're trying to seek out with this device here. The keyboard and typing experience is very good. It's got a great trackpad, the audio, and yes, even the display. I know it's lower resolution, but it's got great color accuracy, great color contrast. It's bright. It's also a touch display, and you even get thin bezels, which is something we don't get a lot from Microsoft. All at a really good starting price. The chassis and color is great. You get just enough ports to keep you happy, at least for me. And it does have Wi-Fi 6. All that for a starting price of $550, I'm pretty happy with. That said, I do wish there was a backlit keyboard. That is a bit of a bummer, but not a deal killer, at least not for me. Now, of course, the model you're going to really want is that $700 one. You can get double your storage at 128 gigabytes, and you're going to get a true SSD. You're also going to double your RAM to 8 gigabytes, and you're going to get a fingerprint reader, which makes a huge difference here in terms of enjoying this device. But overall, Microsoft did a very good job with Surface Laptop Go. I think this is a perfect device for those of you who need something to take to class, you need something for the business meeting, or you just want a secondary laptop around the home or the office. I mean, if I was a student, this thing would be awesome to have with me. It's just small, it's under 2.5 pounds. It's just a cool little device, and the price is good too. Now, HP, Dell probably all have something smaller, the same size, or cheaper, that's more performant. That's always going to be the case here. But if you're interested in this device because it's a Surface and for that quality, I say go out and get this laptop. All right, so that does it for this review. Now, if you need more information about Surface Laptop Go, go to the description below. I'll have the link to the full review, which has more information about the fan and performance and benchmarks and photos and all that good stuff. You can also leave me a question or comment below and I'll try to answer those. And if you're interested in the Surface Pro X Gen 2, we will be reviewing that very soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to be alerted when that happens. Other than that, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.